Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we're going to have a quick look at tomorrow's racing. I'll also talk about the ones that I've highlighted today. Doing it a little bit earlier today, so some of the odds aren't available yet. I'm off out. It's bank holiday, Good Friday, so I'm off bowling and then to the cinema. So I'm having a day off. I'll have to catch up with the racing when I get home. So anyway, let's jump in with today's selections. They are Berkshire Rocco in the 225. Berkshire Rocco beat Earl of Cotswold in a all-weather qualifier, beating Rainbow Dreamer as well at Southall. Went to Kempton and did get beat, but still beat the rest other than Earl of Tyrone, who's moved to William Haggis. Having been with an Irish trainer. He was higher rated than Berkshire Rocco anyway, rated 106. Berkshire Rocco doesn't have a horse rated 106 in against him today. Earl of Cotswold is the joint highest rated with Berkshire Rocco, and yet Berkshire Rocco comfortably beat Earl of Cotswold in their qualifier at Southall. Fully expect him to beat him again. You can see the R figures. Berkshire Rocco's got enough figures there to beat the rest of the field. So I'd be disappointed if Berkshire Rocco doesn't kick us off in good style. Moving on to the 3 o'clock, we've got a couple at the head of the market that it looks between, personally. In actual fact, I think one of them's drifted out to a third favourite now. I looked at Forest of Dean and Harrovian. I think Forest of Dean is the best horse. James Doyle on board now. I think Colin unfortunately got it wrong at Lingfield. But they previously raced at Newcastle. Forest of Dean won going away, beating Ziggy and Harrovian. That's the form that I think will stand him in good stead. Obviously, it's back at Newcastle today as well. So I fully expect Forest of Dean to take all the beating there. We then move on to the all-weather mile. Again, going for top rated here, Berkshire Shadow. I think the last time out effort beating Angel Bleu and Harry's Bar was a very good performance. Tinker Toy in there as well. And The Dream, who's obviously come out and won at Doncaster. I think that's really strong form and probably better form than what he'll need to show to beat the horses that he's running against here. I think they're good horses. I don't quite think they're as higher rated as they... no, they're too higher rated. I mean, Chichester at 104, I don't think he's a 104 horse. Yeah, that's my angle on Berkshire Shadow. I think he's better than these. He's already beaten better than these, and should take all the beating again. And the final one for today is Queen Aminatu, massively improved at the end of last season. Does have some all-weather form, winning at Lingfield, winning the qualifier, beating Roman Mist and International Angel. Does have Newcastle form as well. Got beat on debut by a short head to Al Karim. If we look at that form now, Al Karim was last seen finishing 11th in a Group 2, but had previously finished 5th in a Group 1, and also won a Group 2 at Longchamp. I mean, that's top quality form. A reproduction of Queen Aminatu's effort when being beaten by Al Karim at the track, and I think Queen Aminatu can beat Manafif. So moving on to tomorrow, who catches my eye? Well, the first one is in a race at Cork. It is the... just trying to find you the race time. Nope. It is the 2:55. And the horse that caught my eye last time out, I did tweet about it straight after the race, was Vocal Studies. Dropped back down to 7 furlongs and was last seen finishing second to a horse called Chazazmi. Chazazmi was clearly massively improving, well ahead of his mark. Vocal Studies was the only one who was able to go with Chazazmi, beaten a length and 3/4, but 4 lengths clear of the rest. I think it's a similar type of race here. And although he went up £3, Vocal Studies did, the jockey takes 3 back off. So I think that equates. And do I think there's the ridiculously well handicapped? There could be in All Eyes Ahead, which should mean we can get a reasonable price about Vocal Studies tomorrow, or later today. And hopefully Vocal Studies can essentially not bump into one, which is what I think he did last time. As you can see, there are no odds currently. Another race that caught my eye, the price caught my eye on this one, was Tenebrism. Tenebrism is a proper Group 1 horse. Finished third at Leopardstown in a Group 1, not beaten far. Finished second at Deauville, beaten by Saffron Beach. Had won a Group 1 at Deauville. Fourth in a Group 1 at Ascot. Fifth last time out in a Group 1 at Ascot. You know, that's proper good Grade 1 form. Are any of her rivals Group 1 form here? Group 1 quality? No. I really don't think so. There's a couple of highly rated horses in terms of their official ratings, including Moss Tucker, but Moss Tucker's getting that for running up the handicaps. But I think the thing with Moss Tucker is he'd been beaten in handicaps. You know, 3 runs ago, for example, he was beaten in a listed race. 4 runs ago, beaten in a conditions race. 5 runs ago, beaten in a handicap. That's not Group 1 form. I really think Tenebrism will win this quite comfortably, to be honest. Currently, you can get 10 to 11. Do you know what? I think that's a big price. If anyone goes evens, I think that's a massive price, to be honest. Tenebrism should win that quite comfortably. Over to Haydock for 2 jump races that caught my eye. The first one is the 2 mile series final, and the horse we had in last time, it's WizKid. This time last year, WizKid was finishing 4th at Aintree in a conditional jockeys race. In a harder race, the horses, for example, were rated 143 to 122. The race he's running in here are rated 134 to 110. So straight away, it is an easier race. Finished 4th in it last year. I think this is time of year. He did go up £2 for winning at Doncaster because he only just got there on the line, but I don't think that was a bad race at all. The horse back in third, Mr. Freedom, has since come out and finished 5th, not beaten far in the Boodles, and then went and finished 4th recently at Ascot in another big handicap. I think it's quite strong form, and I think this is his time of year, personally. Luke Scott knows how to ride him now. He'll be bang up there, hopefully just chasing the leaders. He doesn't need to actually make the running. I'm hoping something like Castel Gandolfo, or Galice Macalo might even go forward, and Luke can sit in second or third and hopefully pick him up late on. He's actually a bigger price than I thought he would be. I thought it would be like maybe in here 4s, 5s. He's 11 to 1. Well, actually, he's 9 to 1. We're not saying Bet365 prices, they're ridiculous. He's 9 to 1. I think that's a big price for WizKid. I certainly think he can go really close here. The next horse at Ascot is another one that we've done previously, and that is Neon Moon. I don't mind backing horses a couple of times. I think his effort when he was second to Captain Orr was a very good effort. Although he was beaten 7 lengths, he was second in a decent field. I think horses behind will come out and win races soon, including Revels Hill, who might end up in like the Scottish National or Bet365 Gold Cup. Was disappointing last time in a bit of a messy race. Finished third behind Flash Cologne and Sam Barton. The only thing you could say is, obviously he went off 6 to 4 favourite, so more was expected. And Flash Cologne, to be fair, had gone off 6 to 1 previously in a Grade 2 novice chase. And had been quite highly tried. I mean, he only went off 5 to 1 against Time Hill. It probably wasn't a bad race in the end. And with that in mind, I think maybe they saved him for this, actually, Neon Moon, in the fact that race that he was running in was worth 9.5 to the winner. This race tomorrow is worth 25.7 to the winner. So it's a better race to win. Also, Jack Tudor has just been announced as the main jockey for David Pipe. Surely, considering he's been running already, you would imagine that they may have planned to announce it a day or two before winning a feature race, which would be this, for Brocade Racing, who is one of David's big owners. So hopefully Jack can give Neon Moon a good ride and he can go close here. And again, he was a bit bigger price than I thought he would be. He's currently 10 to 1. I thought he'd be more of 6s, to be honest. If you can forgive him an okay run last time out, his previous form was really good. Moving on to Musselburgh, now on the flat. There's 2 horses that caught my eye on the Queen's Cup. The first one was East Asia, who I think is all about this trip. Let me just make the live support go quiet for a second. East Asia, who I think is all about this trip. His last 2 runs actually over this trip were a second in a Group 3 behind Manobo and a win at Nottingham really comfortably. Granted, he is much higher in the weights than when winning at Nottingham. He was rated 85 that day. He's now rated 95. It is a race that Ian targets. He won it with Enemy last year. He also had the second the year before, beaten a neck in Cardano. It is a race that Ian Williams does like. He's only got the one runner, so you would imagine that they've been quite keen to get him into this race, East Asia. Also, he's also had a prep run at Kempton in a nothing handicap, finished 5th, never really involved, and I think he can run a big race here at Musselburgh back on the turf. And he is currently 12s, 14s, can we say 14s or 12s? Let's say 12s. He's currently 12s. The second horse that I think is very interesting in this race is Yukon Glen. Now, obviously, we were on Yukon Glen last year in the Old Borough Cup, which ended up being a bit of a farce after, what was there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 non-runners. Yukon Glen wants a big field, held up at the back, finishes strongly. Didn't obviously get that at Haydock in the Old Borough Cup in a 6-runner field. Look at his other previous form, like over this trip though. There was a mile and 6 race, at Goodwood. He finished 3rd. Didn't get the cleanest of runs. Only beaten a length behind Trawlerman. Trawlerman, obviously, when he won that, I said he would win the Ebor, which he did. That was a really good run from Yukon Glen. Similarly, at York in the Ebor itself, he finished 7th, never near a 7th, not beaten far. Again, he'll be weighted out the back and run through them. This race here, however, compared to like the Ebor or the summer handicap at Goodwood, is an easier race. And I really think that Yukon Glen down to 102 again is very interesting. Obviously, he ran off 102 when he was 3rd at Goodwood in that summer handicap, and that was a harder race than what he's running in here. There were some better horses, some more progressive horses. I don't think they're as progressive in this race tomorrow, and I think Yukon Glen is way overpriced, to be honest, at 20 to 1. So I'm very interested in Yukon Glen and East Asia there. 2 more to go. The first one is at Ferryhouse. They're both at Ferryhouse in actual fact, and the first one is in the Ladies National Handicap Chase, and it's Mars Harper. Mars Harper is down to 133, having been as high as 137 previously when running in a Coral Cup. 138 in the handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival. Always towards the back, jumped badly. 2 runs ago though, finished 2nd in a better handicap than this. The horses were rated 140 to 117. Tomorrow, I know the weight accounts for it. Mars Harper is the best horse at 133. The next best horse is only rated 126. I mean, this is Mars Harper's easiest race for a little while, and I'd be very disappointed if Mars Harper doesn't go very close there. He is only 7. He has got some good form. Even his 9th 3 runs ago, when at Leopardstown, beaten by the Goffer. I mean, there was horses in that race that would comfortably win this race that he's running in. He actually beat Mascada as well. Mascada obviously went on to win the Grand Annual at Cheltenham. Yeah, I think this is a gilt edge opportunity for Mars Harper personally to run a really big race at Ferryhouse. What am I looking for? If I can get 5 to 2, I actually think that's a decent price for Mars Harper. And the final horse of the day at Ferryhouse is Favori de Champdou, who drops back into handicap company and back up in trip to 3 mile. Been running over 3 mile. Then went in the Albert Bartlett last time. I think if the Martin Pipe had been over 3 mile, they would have ran Favori de Champdou in the Martin Pipe. It wasn't. So they stuck to the 3 mile trip, which he'd been very impressive over. The Albert Bartlett probably proved a bit beyond him, but he comes here. I know he's got to bounce back from being pulled up, but he ran well for a reasonable length of trip. He has a £7 jockey claimer on in McGivern. I think it's Conor McGivern. Takes 7 off. Runs effectively of 130. Looking at those rivals in against him, if we just load up the odds, you can see we don't have any. Looking in those odds, would he beat those anywhere else? Probably. So I fully expect Favori de Champdou to run a really big race in the series final and bounce back from his disappointment in the Albert Bartlett. You don't always find the best horses win the Albert Bartlett. Those that do disappoint and finish 5th, 6th, 7th, even further back than that, can come out and win the handicap subsequently. This is his handicap, and hopefully he can run a really big race there. So looking very quickly at tomorrow's vocal studies, I think we might get a decent price about him because of All Eyes Ahead. bumped into one. Tenebrism is better than the rest of the field. If we can get evens, that'd be amazing. WizKid, fully expect him to run a big race. This is his time of year. Finished fourth in a good race, a better race last year. Neon Moon, hopefully the new combination of Jack Tudor and David Pipe can get off to a good start, an official good start. They've obviously had a few already. Neon Moon, I've just mentioned that. East Asia and Yukon Glen both want this trip. Yukon Glen, this is an easier race than before. Mars Harper, similar story, much easier race than what he has been running in. I fully expect him to go very, very close there. And Favre de Champdou to bounce back, hopefully, in the series final handicap at Ferryhouse. So there's my thoughts. I'm off out. I'm going bowling. I'll let you know how I get on.